Have you ever wondered how many life-changing chances slip right past you without you even noticing? The truth is, opportunities don't disappear. They pass to the person who's ready to act. Most people spend their whole life waiting for the perfect moment, but that moment never comes. Today, I'll show you how to stop waiting, start seizing, and turn every small chance into unstoppable momentum. Because missing one opportunity can cost you a day, but missing too many can cost you your destiny. Part 1. The hidden cost of missed opportunities. Have you ever wondered how many opportunities you've let slip by, not because they weren't there, but because you hesitated, because you doubted yourself, because you told yourself, maybe later, maybe tomorrow, maybe when I'm ready? Let me tell you a hard truth. Opportunities don't wait for readiness. They reward courage. Think about this for a second. Every single day, life presents you with small openings. A conversation that could change your direction. A decision that could shift your future. A risk that could set you free. And yet, most people let those moments pass, unnoticed, unused, unclaimed. Why? Because of fear. Because of overthinking. Because of the illusion that there will always be another chance. But here's the dark reality. Opportunities rarely come back in the same form. When you miss one, it doesn't pause and wait. It goes to someone else who is ready to grab it. That's the law of life. The bold inherit chances. The hesitant inherit regrets. Pause and reflect. How many times in your life have you whispered, if only I had said yes, if only I had tried, if only I had taken that step? Those regrets linger longer than any temporary fear. And that's the real cost of missed opportunities. They don't just dissipate. They live inside you as silent reminders of what could have been. Now, let me use a bit of psychological truth here. The brain is wired to protect you from risk. It whispers, stay safe, don't try, don't step out, don't expose yourself. But in protecting you, it also traps you. It convinces you that safety is better than possibility, that comfort is better than growth. And without realizing it, you become your own prison guard, holding the keys but never unlocking the door. But here's the paradox. The pain of regret always outweighs the pain of risk. The sting of failure fades with time, but the sting of what you never tried only grows sharper. So let me ask you directly, how many more years will you allow yourself to miss doors that are right in front of you? How many times will you let someone else walk through the opportunities that were meant for you? Because the world doesn't slow down, it keeps moving, and the opportunities keep moving with it. I want you to imagine this. You're standing in front of two versions of yourself. One is a version that said yes to chances, yes to risks, yes to growth. This version might have scars, might have failures, but they also have stories, victories, and a life full of meaning. The other version said no to risks, no to stepping out, no to trying. This version might be safe, but they are haunted, hollow, and heavy with regrets. Now ask yourself, which version of you do you want to meet in the mirror 5 years from now? Here's a simple but powerful affirmation. White right pointing backhand index. I choose action over hesitation. I choose courage over comfort. I will not let fear steal my opportunities. Repeat that not just as words, but as a vow, because every time you repeat it, you rewire your brain to seek chances instead of excuses. Let's go deeper. There's a concept in dark psychology called loss aversion. Humans fear loss more than they desire gain. That's why missing opportunities hurt so much. Because deep down, your mind knows you lost something valuable, even if you never fully held it. So use this to your advantage. The next time fear tells you not to act, remind yourself of the cost of inaction. Remind yourself that by saying no, you're not staying safe, you're losing potential futures. Think of someone you admire, an athlete, an entrepreneur, an artist. Do you think their life was built on waiting? No, it was built on seizing, on daring, on jumping before they felt ready. And here's the uncomfortable truth. You'll never feel 100% ready. Readiness is a myth. Action creates readiness, not the other way around. So here's your challenge today. Recall one opportunity you missed in the past. Something you still think about. Now, instead of letting it haunt you, use it as fuel. Ask yourself, if I get a second chance like that, even in a different form, will I act differently? Will I finally say yes? Because if you don't make that decision now, the cycle will repeat. And I'll be honest with you, life is merciless with those who hesitate. It keeps giving tests until you learn a lesson. Here's a mini affirmation to ingrain this truth. White right pointing backhand index. I am not afraid to fail. I am afraid to miss what could be mine. Let that sink in, because when you live with that belief, hesitation loses its grip. Remember this, opportunities are not accidents, they're invitations. Invitations to step into a bigger version of yourself. But an invitation ignored is an invitation lost. So I'll leave you with a reflection question of today. What opportunity is right in front of you right now that you're pretending not to see? Don't wait. Don't hesitate. Don't let the cost of missed opportunities become the story of your life. Because every time you say yes, you unlock a new path. And every time you say no, that path closes forever. Which one will you choose today? Part 2. Recognizing doors before they close. Most people don't realize this, but opportunities rarely come with a signboard that says, "This is it, take me now." Instead, they arrive disguised as a problem, as a challenge, as an uncomfortable choice. And because of this, most people don't recognize them until it's too late. Here's the frightening truth. The door to opportunity doesn't slam shut loudly. It closes silently while you're busy overthinking, while you're telling yourself, maybe next week, maybe next year, maybe when I'm more confident, more skilled, more ready. By the time you look back, the door is gone, and someone else has already walked through it. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine walking down a hallway filled with doors. Some are wide open, some are cracked slightly, and some are just about to shut. Every door leads to a new path. But here's the twist. You don't know what's behind each one. And while you stand there, hesitating, others are rushing in, claiming the rooms, living the experiences, building the futures. What are you doing? Watching, waiting, hoping the door will stay open. But doors don't wait for the hesitant. They reward the bold. Dark psychology shows us something fascinating. The human brain is biased toward familiar pain over unfamiliar possibility. That's why so many people stay in toxic jobs, empty routines, or unhealthy habits. The brain says, better the devil you know than the devil you don't. But opportunity always lives in the unknown. If you only stay with what you know, you will never grow. Let's make this personal. Think of a time when something new scared you. Maybe a job interview, a business idea, a chance to speak up, a relationship you could have pursued. At that moment, you felt uncertainty. And because it didn't look safe or certain, you let it pass. Later, you told yourself, I'll get another chance. But did you? Did that same exact opportunity ever come back? Or did you watch it fade into someone else's story? This is a subtle cruelty of life. It gives you windows, not guarantees. And when you don't climb through, someone else will. Here's a mini affirmation to fight that hesitation. White right pointing backhand index. I recognize opportunities even when they feel uncomfortable. Discomfort is a doorway to my growth. Now let's dig deeper. How do you train yourself to recognize these doors before they close? The secret lies in awareness. You need to rewire your perspective. Most people look at situations and ask, what can go wrong? But the successful mind asks, what can I gain if I dare? That tiny shift is a difference between staying stuck and stepping forward. Here's a trick from persuasion psychology. When you face a decision and feel torn, imagine your future self 5 years from now. Ask that version of you, will I regret not trying? If the answer is yes, then you already know the truth. The opportunity is real, and the risk of regret is greater than the risk of failure. And here's where I'll challenge you. Starting today, stop waiting for opportunities to look perfect. They never will. They will look messy, risky, inconvenient. But inside that mess is your next breakthrough. If you wait for a door to look safe, you will wait forever. Let me give you an example. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. Do you think those failures look like opportunities? No, they look like closed doors. But he recognized something most people don't. Every failure is just a door disguised as a lesson. Now reflect, how many failures in your life were actually doors you didn't open because you were too focused on discomfort? Here's another affirmation for your mind. White right pointing backhand index. I don't wait for the perfect door. I walk through the door that is open, and I make it perfect. Pause and repeat that. Feel it, because that's how you retrain your brain. There's a dangerous trap in psychology called normalcy bias. It convinces you that tomorrow will look like today, and today will look like yesterday. It makes you believe opportunities will always keep coming, as if life is endless. But it's not. Every closed door is gone forever, and the more doors you ignore, the narrower your hallway becomes. Ask yourself this right now. Which doors are open in your life today that you've been pretending not to notice? Maybe it's a business idea you keep putting off. Maybe it's a skill you've been avoiding learning. Maybe it's a relationship you haven't pursued. Whatever it is, remember, those doors won't stay open forever. Let me leave you with this haunting thought. One day, you will look back on your life, and the only pain worse than failing will be realizing you never even tried. So promise yourself this. When a door appears, even if it scares you, even if it feels uncertain, you will not stand frozen. You will step through. Because opportunities don't reward the ready, they reward the willing. White right pointing backhand index. I am willing. I am bold. I will not let the door close without walking through it. Repeat that until it becomes your instinct. Because when you do, you'll stop being one who watches life happen and start being the one who lives it. Part 3. The mindset shift from waiting to acting. Here's a truth most people don't want to hear. Waiting is a silent killer. It kills dreams. It kills confidence. It kills momentum. And worst of all, it kills the person you could have become. Think about how many times you've told yourself, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll start next week. I'll wait for the right time. How many tomorrows have already slipped away? How many times did the right time never come? Dark psychology shows us something dangerous here. The brain is wired to trick you into waiting. It whispers, don't act yet, it's risky. Stay safe, stay comfortable. This is a survival instinct, but in today's world, it backfires because survival and success don't live in the same neighborhood. Survival keeps you alive. Action makes you thrive. Let me ask you something. When was the last time waiting actually improved your life? Waiting rarely builds strength. It only builds hesitation. The longer you wait, the heavier the action becomes. Have you noticed that? The more you postpone something, the scarier it feels. That's not life's design. It's your brain trap. Now let me paint a picture. Imagine standing at the edge of a swimming pool. The water is cold, and you hesitate. You tell yourself, I'll jump in a minute. What happens? That minute turns into 5 into 10, and suddenly, the jump feels impossible. But the ones who leap in quickly, they adjust, they adapt, they swim. Life works exactly the same way. Here's a reflection question for you. What's a swimming pool in your life right now that you've been standing beside, shivering with excuses? Because the truth is, action is always easier when you stop overthinking. The brain makes fear grow in proportion to your delay. Wait too long, and even small opportunities feel like mountains. But here's the good news. You can break this cycle with a single shift. The mindset shift from waiting to acting. Here's an affirmation to anchor this. White right pointing backhand index. I don't wait for perfect timing. I create it with my actions. Say it again. Slowly. Feel it. Because repetition builds belief. And belief drives behavior. Now, let me tell you why waiting feels so comfortable. It gives you the illusion of control. You say, I'll start when I'm ready. But here's the paradox. You'll never feel ready. Readiness doesn't come before action. It comes after. The first step builds the strength you thought you needed beforehand. Think about a child learning to walk. Do they wait until their legs are strong before they try? No. They wobble, they fall, they stumble, and in the process, their legs become strong. That's life's formula. Weakness first, action second, strength third. If you wait for strength before you act, you will never move. Let's go deeper. Dark psychology reveals a phenomenon called loss aversion. People fear losing what they have more than they desire gaining something new. This is why waiting feels safe. You think you're protecting yourself, but in reality, you're losing far more time, momentum, and unseen opportunities. The cost of waiting is invisible until it's too late. Here's a personal challenge for you. Write down 3 things you've been delaying. Maybe it's starting a side hustle, joining a gym, or calling someone important. Then Ask yourself, if I don't act on this in the next 24 hours, what will it cost me in the next 5 years? I guarantee your future self will scream at you, stop waiting. Let's anchor this with another affirmation. White right pointing backhand index. Every second I wait is a second I lose. I choose action over hesitation. Now, let's talk about momentum. Have you noticed how hard it is to start moving a heavy car that's standing still? But once it starts rolling, even slightly, it becomes easier to push. Your life works the same way. The hardest part is starting. Once you take the first step, momentum carries you forward. Waiting kills momentum before it's even born. That's why small daily actions matter so much. They may feel insignificant, but they compound. A drop of water looks weak, but over time, it carves stone. Your daily action carves your future. Let me share a quick story. There was once a man who wanted to write a book. For years, he told himself he needed the perfect idea, the perfect time, the perfect environment. Decades passed, and he never wrote it. Then one day, another man with fewer skills, less time, and no perfect conditions sat down and wrote one page every day. Within a year, he had a book. Within 5 years, he had changed lives. Now ask yourself, which one are you becoming? The dreamer who waits or the doer who acts? Here's a mini affirmation to lock this in. White right pointing backhand index. I'm a doer, not a waiter. I act even when it feels uncomfortable. Remember this. The discomfort you feel in action is temporary, but the regret of waiting is permanent. Psychologists say regret from inaction burns deeper and lasts longer than regret from mistakes. Why? Because mistakes teach lessons, but inaction leaves you empty-handed. Would you rather fail forward or die wondering? So let me leave you with this challenge. Whenever you feel hesitation creeping in, repeat this line to yourself. White right pointing backhand index. Action first, clarity second. Say it again, louder. Action first, clarity second. Because clarity doesn't come from waiting, it comes from moving. And when you finally shift your mindset from waiting to acting, you'll notice something magical. Doors open faster, opportunities multiply, and life bends in your favor. Because life doesn't reward the hesitant. Life rewards the movers. Part 4. Turning small chances into big wins. Let me ask you something powerful. What if the opportunities you're ignoring aren't small at all? What if they are the seeds of something extraordinary, but you keep stepping over them because they don't look big enough yet? This is where most people fail. They are waiting for the grand, dramatic opportunity, the million-dollar idea, the dream job call, the life-changing event. But life doesn't work that way. Life whispers before it shouts. The door to your destiny doesn't arrive glowing with neon lights. It appears quietly, in the small chances, in the little risks, in the moments you think don't matter. Here's the cruel twist. The small doors you ignore today are often the ones that lead to the massive doors tomorrow. Think of it like this. A single seed doesn't look like much. It's tiny, unimpressive, easy to dismiss. But inside that seed is the DNA of a towering tree. If you plant it, water it, nurture it, it grows into something that provides shade, fruit, and life for decades. But if you toss it aside because it doesn't look big enough, you never see the miracle it holds. Now let's use a little dark psychology. The brain is addicted to instant gratification. It loves big rewards, flashy wins, quick validation. That's why you underestimate small opportunities. They don't give you that immediate dopamine rush. But here's the trap. Chasing only big wins blinds you to the stepping stones that lead to them. The ultra-successful people of this world, they didn't start with a big door. They started with a small one. Steve Jobs didn't start with Apple as a global empire. He started in a garage. Oprah didn't begin as a global icon. She started as a local news anchor who took the chance to speak her truth. Michael Jordan didn't begin as the greatest of all time. He started as a kid who didn't make his high school varsity team, but he treated every practice as a stage. So let me ask you, what's a garage in your life right now? What's a tiny chance that looks unimpressive, but could be your seed? Here's an affirmation to anchor this shift. White right pointing backhand index. No opportunity is too small for me. I turn every chance into growth. Take a moment and let that sink in. Because this belief is the difference between the one who builds momentum and the one who stays stuck. Let's go deeper. Every small action you take has a ripple effect. But here's where most people fail. They don't stay consistent long enough to see the ripples grow into waves. They quit because the results look too small. But champions keep watering their seeds until the roots are strong enough to break through the surface. This is why patience and persistence matter. When you embrace small opportunities, you're not just building results, you're building resilience. And resilience is a foundation of greatness. Here's a reflection question. What small opportunities are you dismissing right now because they don't look shiny enough? Is it a part-time project you think is beneath you? A networking call you brushed off? A new habit that feels too simple? Remember this. Small doors often open into hallways that lead to bigger doors. Let me share a story that proves this. There was a young man who wanted to break into the music industry. He didn't get a record deal. He didn't get a stage. Instead, he got a job sweeping floors in a recording studio. Most people would have dismissed it as too small. But he stayed. He listened. He learned. He made connections. And when the chance came, when someone didn't show up, he stepped in. That young man was Dr. Dre, and his empire began with a broom. Now ask yourself, are you turning down your broom? Are you rejecting your small beginning because it doesn't look like the empire yet? Here's a mini affirmation to lock this in. Right pointing backhand index. I see the potential in every beginning. I respect small doors because they lead to big wins. Another dark psychology insight. Humans have a cognitive bias called status quo bias. We undervalue small changes and overvalue staying the same. That's why you dismiss small steps. But those small steps stack. One brick at a time builds a fortress. 1 page a day writes a book. $1 saved grows into wealth. So here's my challenge to you. Identify one small opportunity you've been ignoring. Take it seriously. Pour effort into it. And then watch how that door leads you to another and another. Because here's the truth. Small doors don't stay small forever. They expand as you walk through them. But you'll never know unless you take that first step. Anchor this with another affirmation. Right pointing backhand index. I honor small chances because they are the roots of my greatness. Remember, success isn't built in leaps. It's built in steps. The sooner you stop underestimating the little doors, the sooner you'll start unlocking the big ones. So, stop waiting for the neon sign. Stop waiting for the perfect big opportunity. Start walking through the small doors today. And trust that each one leads you closer to the empire you're meant to build. Part 5. Building a life of momentum and courage. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's a decision to move forward while fear screams in your aid. And momentum? Momentum is courage repeated daily until it no longer feels like courage, but like second nature. But here's the raw truth. Most people never build momentum because they confuse safety with living. They tell themselves, I'll act when I'm no longer afraid. I'll step forward when I feel confident. But that day never comes. Because fear doesn't disappear. It only shifts. What actually dissolves fear is movement, action, momentum. Think about it. When you were a child and learned to ride a bicycle, were you fearless? No, you were terrified of falling. But once you pushed forward, once you pedaled, the bike stabilized. That's momentum. Fear loses its grip the moment motion begins. Now let's use some dark psychology. Fear has a powerful effect on the human brain. It magnifies stillness. The more you freeze, the louder fear becomes. It repeats. It echoes. It multiplies in your head until the idea of moving feels impossible. But courage works the opposite way. Every time you act, you shrink fear's voice and amplify confidence. Here's the secret formula. Courage creates momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates freedom. Let me ask you, what's holding you still right now? Is it fear of rejection? Fear of failure? Fear of not being good enough? Whatever it is, remember this. Stillness feeds it, but action starves it. Here's an affirmation to anchor this shift. Right pointing backhand index. Fear loses its power when I move. Courage begins with one step. Let's go deeper. Momentum is more powerful than motivation. Why? Because motivation is emotional. It rises and falls like the tide. But momentum is mechanical. It keeps rolling even when you don't feel like moving. That's why building small daily actions is life-changing. Once momentum takes over, it's harder to stop than to keep going. Imagine a snowball rolling down a hill. At first, it's tiny, Fragile, easy to stop, but as it rolls, it collects more snow, more weight, more speed, until nothing can block it. That's your life when you embrace momentum. But here's the mistake people make. They break their own momentum. They start something, then stop halfway. They plant seeds, then quit watering. They build energy, then hit pause. And every time you stop, restarting feels twice as hard. Here's a reflection question. How many times have you built momentum only to kill it by stopping too soon? Let me share a story. A young writer once committed to writing one page every day. At first, it was nothing, just a small step. But days turned into weeks, weeks into months. And soon he had an entire novel. That novel changed his career. But imagine if he had stopped at page 30 because no one came yet. He would have killed his momentum before it bore fruit. That's what most people do. They demand instant recognition. But momentum doesn't reward impatience. It rewards persistence. Another affirmation to lock this in. White right pointing backhand index. I protect my momentum. I keep moving, even when progress feels invisible. Now let's talk about courage again. Courage isn't built in one grand act. It's built in small, repeated risks. Every time you speak up, every time you take a chance, every time you face discomfort, you strengthen the muscle of courage. And the stronger that muscle gets, the less fear controls you. Here's where dark psychology comes in. Fear will always try to disguise itself as logic. It whispers, wait, this isn't the right time. Play it safe. Think about the risks. But underneath, it's not logic. It's hesitation wearing a mask. Recognize the disguise, and you'll see fear for what it is. A thief stealing your life in slow motion. So, how do you fight it? You fight fear with immediacy. You act before the brain has time to drown you in doubt. That's why the 5-second rule works. Count backward from 5 and move. Don't let fear negotiate. Here's a mini affirmation. White right pointing backhand index. I act fast. I trust myself. Fear doesn't get time to grow. Now think about your future. Do you want to be the person who watched doors close? Or the one who built courage so strong that fear had no choice but to step aside? Momentum and courage are the twin engines of transformation. Without them, you stay in place. With them, you create a life people call unstoppable. Pause for a moment. Imagine yourself 1 year from now. Every day, you've taken small actions. Every day, you've added a drop of courage. Where would you be? What doors would already be behind you? What mountains would you have climbed without even realizing? This is a life waiting for you. But it won't come from waiting. It won't come from overthinking. It comes from courage and momentum. Fueled daily, protected fiercely. Let's seal this with a final affirmation for today. White right pointing backhand index. Momentum is my power. Courage is my choice. Together, they make me unstoppable. Repeat it again and again until your subconscious accepts it as truth. Because once you live with momentum and courage, you stop surviving and start conquering. High voltage sign, they told you failure means you've lost. But what if failure is actually the secret weapon of every great success story? Tomorrow, you'll discover why avoiding failure is the biggest failure of all.